I've been scouring every single one of my replay picks to find a Zerg versus Terran. And I found one. For some reason, this is not a matchup that has happened a whole lot over the last couple of weeks. But spawning right here in the top right-hand corner of a map called Torches, playing with the red Zerg drones. We're looking inside of the main base of Solar, and his opponent down in the bottom right with the blue SCVs, we have ByuN. Now, of course, there's a lot of Zerg versus Terrans happening on the ladder, but when it comes to tournament series, the highest levels of games, I mean, we just simply haven't seen that many. It seems like there's a lot of Zerg versus Protoss at the moment, a lot of Protoss versus Terran, a lot of Protoss versus Protoss. But ZVT, for some reason, has been lacking a little bit as of late. So let's see what happens right here in this particular best of 3. Solar opening up with a standard 15 hatch. This has become very popular over the last year or so. A lot of Zerg players decided to go for that. Just because it's a little bit easier to guarantee it from, well, getting blocked, right? You don't really want to get your hatcheries blocked. It just slows everything down an absolute tad, but it is proven to be the most effective style to go for. For the longest time, we saw that 13 Overlord into a 16 hatch, but this apparently is ever so slightly more efficient. It is, of course, going to be a slightly faster spawning pool here and a delayed gas geyser, meaning that you're likely not going to be able to get link speed out as quickly. But as we have seen over the last year or so, Zergling speed is becoming less and less important in the earlier stages of a ZVT. A lot of the Terran players are opting to play Cyclone mech right now, and against that sort of thing, you really don't need your speed upgrade on those Zerglings nearly as quickly. A lot of Zergs actually, especially on this map, are favoring a Roach Warren over here with an Evo chamber, and then eventually a full wall off on top of the high ground, meaning that the only way to get into the base would be around the side anyways, and that takes a very long time for the Terran player to achieve. And by then, you probably either already have link speed done, even if it is delayed, or you just simply have an alternative plan. We'll have to see, though, what exactly the choices are going to be. ByuN is somebody that mixes in Terran mech from time to time, but he's not the biggest fan of it. In general, in my mind at least, he's very much so a bio-Terran player. We have to see in just a moment. Usually it's going to be a 1-1-1. He could already go for the second factory early on. Looks like it is going to be triple command center for now. We'll have to see what the follow-up is going to be. But even with the 1-1-1, it doesn't necessarily guarantee that it's not going to be Terran mech. Only a single gas geyser, though, for the time being. So ByuN really focusing on that mineral income here for the time being. Skinny mineral fields are being mined out. Just a handful of drones are working away, creating an opening here to the right side. Obviously, Terran can do the same thing on their side of the map, but since there's an Overlord overlooking this, Solar knows that he is going to be, well, safe, at least for the time being. Not really a whole lot that Terran can do about this. There's pretty much no chance that there would be a medevac out already. Are we going to see the switcheroo, go for a Cyclone? Or are we going to go, no, good old Stimpek. So even though the current flavor in this matchup is to play Terran mech, ByuN doesn't want it, man. He is known as Micro Jackson for a reason. Now, I almost wonder if this is a fake out. Solar didn't actually see it. But with the way that he started up that upgrade so quickly, it makes you wonder whether or not it's even a real Stimpek. Certainly faster than what we normally see. Link speed, though, is already done. Solar not opting for any of that quick Roach Warren shenanigans or anything along those lines. And honestly, if you haven't really been watching a lot of StarCraft over the last year or so, this is looking, if you kind of squint, right, we've seen some small adjustments, I suppose, with the hatchery timing and all the rest of it, but this is looking like a very conventional game of Terran versus Zerg. It's funny because these days, these type of games are actually quite rare. Usually it is a little bit more, well, of that early game song and dance that Terrans and Zergs are very fond of these days. Double engineering bay, though, coming up in the back of the natural expansion. And we've got ourselves additional barracks also added into the mix. Solar posed a question mark. Wait, where did he post? Hold up, what did Solar see? Is it the Reaper going into the base? No. Maybe it's just the barracks going down in that direction? This is, by the way, about 10 seconds back into the game. Yeah. I think he sees the command center going down. He's like, wait a second, what in the world is going on here? What are you even up to? The single Z, by the way, is like a haha. ByuN apparently not too impressed by the whole situation. He is going to be able to get those upgrades, though, nice and quickly. So, super greedy opener here from ByuN, right? Imagine if there was any sort of roach aggression. There would be, how many? 6 Marines with Stimpack and 4 Hellions to try and deal with all of that. I wish you good luck. ByuN cutting 17 corners here in the earlier stages of the game. And Solar is unable to really deal with it. He decides to just, well, fight fire with fire and fight macro with macro as he starts up a unreasonably early 4th base as well. But in a way, ByuN has already gotten away with the greed. So triple command center, triple Rex, double upgrades. He's finally going to start up the medevac production too, but a roach push would generally hit right before the 5-minute mark. And at that point, there were literally 4 Hellions and 6 Marines. Which is not a whole lot to be defending a Zerg all-in with. Still, because of the lack of early game units, Solar also gets a lot of creep spread going here very early on. And look at that, he's actually just double expending on the back of this as well. Pretty late lair. Not unreasonably late though. Fashionably late. Baneling nest as well to go into the Baneling speed immediately. It looks like he's gonna... Okay. Reconsider getting the base over there and build it in the top left instead. The creep spread is the real big question, right? How in the world is ByuN gonna be able to deal with it? If he even needs to deal with it. Maybe he just wants to go for the full sledgehammer approach and just hit the opponent in the face with Marines. Always an option. 1-1, already finishing up. We have the armory already done as well, so he can go straight into the 2-2. And this is a scary fight. Honestly, a lot of units here. Yeah, the armory is allowing the Terran to morph those Hellbats. And while he's trying to get the Banelings on top of the Marines, it's messy. Okay, he is going to get the job done, though. That looked really flimsy there for just a moment, but Solar managed to, well, get the wrap around there with those Zerglings. He lost a lot of units before they ultimately made their way to those, well, clumped up Terran troops. A lot of the Banelings already fell. But a good defense there for Solar in the end, and he does have 80 workers already. Yeah. Infestation Pit, Hydralisk Den. We will probably see a very fast hive here. 2-2, by the way, coming up. Factory number 2 also on the production tab. You can definitely go either Siege Tanks or Widow Mines here. Especially against Pureling Bane like this. Yeah, Widow Mine's not a bad call. He must have noticed some of the units maybe attempting to make a run to the top left, but I don't believe that he knows that there is a hatchery hiding all the way in the top left-hand corner of Torches, and that could be a bit of a misread. 4th Command Center, though, starts up on location. Ay. You could never get away with this against somebody like Raynor. Solar, sometimes a little bit too predictable. Solar, very much so the type of Zerg that likes to overwhelm in the later stages of a game. But my god, building this command center on location feels ridiculously greedy. It is indeed going to be a Widow Mines here, so Drilling Claws is coming up. Ooh, little Widow Mine over here getting a decent hit, but Drilling Claws is going to allow those Widow Mines to burrow a little bit quicker. Hive is already about halfway done, though. And while we don't have a Lurker Den yet, we do have the armor upgrades. And as long as Zerg is going for ground armor research, Ultralisks are always a good choice as well in the late game. The main concern, though, is that normally those upgrades for Zerg are really fast if you compare it to the Terran. In this particular instance, well, ByuN is able to go toe-to-toe with those just fine. Nice target firing as well on the Baneling. And he is going to go for a move out again on the right. Keep in mind that last time he moved into this spot, he got overwhelmed. Looks like he's actually just using this as a distraction. Big scan here, just to try and get rid of some of those creep tumors. Some of the overlords, maybe. And Lings and Banes are going to be rolling forward once again. Now, 2-2 is finished. Pretty much. ByuN knows that the creep spread is always going to be a little bit further out when you skip most of the Hellions in the earlier stages of the game, but he's doing a pretty good job containing it. There's the Lurker then, though. So Solar actually a little bit late on it, purposely delaying it in favor of faster hive-tech upgrades. So Vipers are going to come out. We have the Adrenal Glands research coming, and I'm assuming we're going to go straight into the +3/+3 as well. As soon as he's got the resources for it anyways. Yeah, he's a little bit concerned. Interestingly enough, we're actually prioritizing the Hydralisk lunge ability. Usually that one's not that important. +1 missile coming up, because +3, I guess, for the melee units is a little bit too expensive. What about this fight over here, though? ByuN is just pushing through. Standing on the perimeter of the creep is always good. Spore Crawler in the mix in the top left-hand corner, making it difficult. Okay. And while Terran is gonna get shoved away here eventually, this is not an easy cleanup for Solar. I would love to see those Lurker upgrades kicking in. Seismic Spines is so important for Solar. But for now, he's just focusing on, yeah, Hydraling Bane with a Viper for support. Okay. Now, it is an 8 Rex already, but it's an 8 Rex off of soon-to-be 5 command centers. Zerglings, I would love to see one of you guys splitting off. Okay, he does do exactly that. Then he sees that there is a command center building over there. Lurkers, though, are soon going to allow Solar to really be the aggressor. Solar, like I said, a very passive player across the board, but he is arriving at that late game that he likes so much. Parasitic Bomb over here is good. You can see that he's already starting to be a little bit more adventurous off creep. Getting the wraparound over here. Hydralisk's lunge forward. Gets a few medevacs for his troubles. A lot of other Terran units, though, showing up from the left side. Solar's going to have to back up until reinforcements arrive. One of the Hydralisks is going to take the brunt of the damage over here. But of course, on the back of this, Solar's economy is huge. 93 workers. Starport number 2 and 3, though, are coming up. Liberator production is already kicking in. We've got ourselves the Fusion Core coming, too. So this should be a good old Liberator ranged research. Nidus Worm, though, goes up in the main base. So you can start to feel that the pacing of the game is really picking up. Players are trying to multitask and outmaneuver the opponent. ByuN anticipating, though, that there would be some aggression over here. Command center in the bottom left did, well, finish in time, but I don't believe that the planetary is going to be done just yet. Nidus Worm on the other side of this little section. Lurkers as well at the front. Banelings as well at the front. This is when Terran becomes so difficult to play. Lift off indeed in the command center over here. Nidus Worm is going to go up, but I don't think he's going to unload anything, and indeed he does not. Liberator's already sieging it. It's important to not forget about the Fusion Core upgrades. Advanced ballistics in particular are so important. And so far, I gotta say, ByuN's defense has been good. ByuN is also starting up a lot of additional command centers right now. Difficult to really pick up all of the multitasking, but Lightning Cloud is gonna force these units to be split. Lurkers at the front are such a nuisance, but, I mean, the Liberator counts should be growing over time, because Solar is having a difficult time staying within range. All of these traits, though, are good for the Zerg. And he still has a near 50 supply advantage at this point in the game. Again, Hydralisk Lunge is going to allow him to close the distance a little bit more and actually snipe those Liberators without their ranged upgrade with relative ease. Nidus Worm in the main, though, gets denied. Zergling in the far bottom left, preventing the command center from landing again. And this is exactly what Solar wanted to do all game long. ByuN played greedy early on, but Solar defended those attacks very nicely. And ultimately, as the dust is settling, he's got Terran exactly where he wants him to. Still, though, not an easy game here for the Zerg whatsoever. Because all of these traits for Terran are cost efficient, and this Terran army is incredibly strong. Ranged Liberators are going to be available very soon. Hydraling Bane, though, is starting to break through, but the SCV losses have been minimized up until this point. Hydralisk once more, lunge away. 16 only have gone down, as many as the Widow Mines. Little Zergling run by towards the bottom left, Planetary Fortress. Yep, cancelled once more. Keep in mind that these are links with Adrenal Glands, so you need to respect it. Burrow is going to be available as well in just a moment, so that will make denying those bases even easier. Another Nidus Worm in the exact same spot. I mean, effectively what Solar is doing, right? He's like almost like digging a moat around the opponent's castle. He's saying, yo, no supply goes in. Nothing will be able to leave. And I will be trying to tunnel underneath using my Lurkers. A little bit of miscontrol over here, but ultimately the Lurkers do get into a pretty decent spot. Lurkers right now at the front also moving through. Solar saying, you can have 4 bases, but no more than that. I have money for days, and I can bleed you out. 15 minutes in, the main base, the natural, all of that will be running low. So ByuN needs to get another base going soon. Planetary Fortress again in the bottom left would be lovely to give those SCVs another location to mine. Oh, here we go. Apparently ByuN decides to pull the trigger. Big Stimpack right now to try and close the distance to those Lurkers, but he is not able to achieve that job. Solar, I mean, even though he had no clue what was happening in the earlier stages of the game, he makes this late game look easy. Sometimes when we watch Solar play, you almost want him to go across the map and do something, right? You watch him play and it's almost a little bit frustrating as a viewer, because he's got these opportunities to attack and he, well, pretty much never does until he gets to that late game stage that we just watched him play. That right there, the game we just had a look at, is exactly what Solar wants to be doing in every single one of his Zerg versus Terrans. He wants to effectively survive, build up that economy of about 90 workers or so, and then when he finally gets comfortable, spread a bunch of creep and go across the map. Hit the opponent at many different angles at once, and it's not really the most flashy style, right? It doesn't really feel like the spiciest approach for Zerg, but it's incredibly powerful. As a matter of fact, if you're a Zerg player on the ladder, there are a lot of games out there, a lot of replays out there of Solar playing that strategy over and over and over again. And sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes he gets thrown off of the plan and it doesn't really work. But if you are struggling in this matchup, I do think it's a very nice strategy to try and copy. Because Solar has a lot of example games out there. A lot of them are floating around on the internet. You can, yeah, probably figure out exactly the order in which he gets all of his structures. You can certainly discover some themes. And it's quite nice because if you look at, like, for example, I don't know, a Shin game or a Raynor game, usually they will be making little switch-ups all of the time. And while Solar mixes that in from time to time too, that really is his bread and butter strategy. Unfortunately right there for ByuN, right? So he played the opponent brilliantly. I don't believe he could ever get away with a opener like the one that he did against, for example, any of those more aggressive Zergs. ByuN basically cut all the corners. What? Steadfast. Oh, I guess Steadfast may have been disconnecting here. What does he say? Canada? Stat slow? Stat slow. All right. I don't know what's going on, but I'm guessing Wardy is just sitting in the group chat here too. ByuN fast, Solar fast. All right. I'm guessing Steadfast, one of the StarCraft 2 commentators, disconnected while this game was being played, which puts the game on hold for about a minute until the player disappears. And then when the replay resumes, we get the entire text box dumped all at the same time. The 2s and the 4s, by the way, are just the players hitting hotkeys. Turns out they're very fast. Ooh, nice little bit of micro there. I always like that. You know the drone is going to get stuck. The Zerglings are body blocking it. Good movement there on the Reaper. Solar, by the way, speaks fluent English. Sometimes when you see Solar in these chats in the in-game, he is like Korean-fying his English, which is kind of funny. You'll notice that quite a lot from the Korean players when they try to speak English. Many of them speak pretty good English, but Solar's English is just straight up good. Like, he speaks fluent English as far as I am concerned, but he adjusted sometimes when he's speaking English in the in-game chat to a fellow Korean. Starport right now here for a more conventional 1-1-1 here for ByuN. So triple command center, 1-1-1. I'm assuming it'll be Hellion Banshee. This, by the way, was played recently during one of the awardy Monday... no, not the Monday Night Weekly. Monday Night Weekly is a different tournament. This is the awardy Monday. Oh, God. Oh, no. Here we go again. Oh, no. ByuN has got his tea kettle boiling. He's ready to go, man. He's got some biscuits out. This is the perfect time to have a nice social situation going on. Chatting away in the middle of a game of StarCraft is exactly what we need. Hellion Banshee, though, will be the name of the game right here for ByuN, and very soon he will not be able to really use the multitasking anymore, because there's a lot of things to manage. Obviously, the difficulty in StarCraft is just the sheer amount of stuff that there is to do. Always difficult to really prioritize all of it. Obviously, though, the players here have done this a million times before. So we have actually a faked out cloaking upgrade. Yeah, he cancels it as soon as the Overlord is dead. And already a Spore Crawler coming up right here for Solar. Solar, though, positioning the Spore Crawler not as an anti-Banshee position. Yeah, but he is putting them in such a location that he believes it to be anti-Liberator. Now, what about this? Nice grenade over there. Splitting Brenda and Karen. Nicely done. The Reaper did die, but so did Karen. Brenda, no! Brenda, you have so much to live for. Don't sacrifice yourself. Looks like we have a couple more queens coming in around the side. If you guys could maybe dip your toes onto the creep, you can speed up a little bit again. Okay. Messy defense, and I'm a little afraid of units going in around the site right now, but lucky here for the Zerg, none of those Terran units are even remotely close. Okay. Double engineering bay again for ByuN. So ByuN is just playing good old bio. Just straight up bio Terran. None of that mech shenanigans. And already, I mean, Solar is also just playing this like an absolute gentleman, right? He scouted roughly what's going on. He saw the additional barracks. So he's not going for any of that more modern roach shenanigans where you go straight into, well, an armor upgrade, right? Usually single Evo, Roach Warren on the back of it. You use the roaches as a stepping stone to ultimately arrive at, well, Ultra Ling Bane, or sometimes Hydra Ling Bane. None of that. This is just the most conventional way, at least for like the last 5 years, right? On average, this is the most conventional way of playing both Zerg as well as Terran. These days, though, it's a bit of a rarity. Armory coming up here again for ByuN. Obviously, though, this is also a tried and true style. Aliens are going to be pushed all the way back. Solar decides to run it all the way back home. I think this suits Solar just fine. Like, Solar is really a typical textbook Zerg. And while he needs to run for a little bit right now, and this defense, again, is going to be tough, Solar is one of the very best Zerg players when it comes to just defending the most ordinary Terran timings. Basically, Zerg feels safer when you finish up this upgrade over here. The Baneling speed is huge. But for now, Solar doesn't have that luxury yet. Queens are going to be able to knock down the rocks. It's a slow project, but they will achieve that job eventually. There you go. We'll probably have a Hydra then as well in just a moment, although he could just go straight Hive, straight Ultras. Baneling speed not yet done, though. I don't think you really want to commit here, do you, Solar? Solar's thinking that this is a good moment to fight. I mean, he gets the Zerglings around the siege tanks right now. No micro over here on that little squad on the right. It's messy. It's dirty. It's a little sloppy. But it works out. That's also what she said. Okay, Hive coming up. I think this is going to be Ultras. So, no Hydra then. This is pure Ling Bane into Ultra. Never mind. It's pure Ling Bane into Hydra then, but possibly Ultras too. That Hydra then is extremely late though. Maybe he just wants to sit at Hive and go 3-3 upgrades and Adrenal Glands or something, but maybe a couple Vipers for support. but a Lurker follow-up right now would be quite slow. This is sloppy here from ByuN. Bleeding out a siege tank is not what you want to see. Solar grabbing the supply advantage here. It's because he's had the bigger eco, and he's doing a great job splitting up his units. Still though, this drop over here is sketchy, but ByuN cannot quite kill all of the Banes. What about this fight over here? ByuN really doing a good job abusing some of those siege tank locations. He's also manually target firing with the tank to deal as much damage to that Baneling clump as possible. And while ultimately the majority of those Terran units will go down, unless they're brought back home in a medevac, he's really just trying to buy time. Both players, though, look at how evenly matched those 2-2 upgrades are. There's the Ultra Cavern, okay. Ultra Cavern, 2 Vipers. We've got ourselves the Adrenal Glands as well, so that's just straight up Zergling attack speed. ByuN is trying to really fire up that parade pushing, right? That multitasking, that Terran momentum, that snowball that he's so very fond of. And he's getting a decent job done so far, but nothing really to write home about. Solar is defending. And again, this is the most Solar-esque game you can expect. Liberator production is starting to kick in. But this is an 8-Rex. It's an 8-Rex all in here from ByuN. And so far, he hasn't really been paid for all of this unit production yet. Now, maybe he can get the job done, though. Little Zergling run by, at least attempted. Nice defense there from ByuN. Ultra Cavern is going to be the real light at the end of the tunnel. But honestly, Blinding Clouds can also be incredibly nice. Looks like Solar. Okay, he's read indeed that this is an 8-Rex all-in. He decides to give up on this base. Yeah, chitinous plating. He wants to just get these upgrades done. He knows that this is for all intents and purposes an all-in right here for the Terran. So he's really in no rush to try and defend this. What about now, though? Blinding Clouds? No. Yeah, he tries to throw one down eventually. ByuN, though, did get some damage done. A couple of the medevacs way too far forward. One of them is going to get boosted out at the very least. But Solar had another mineral line down south. All the way over here in the bottom right-hand corner. He transferred those workers, and he'll be retaking the base that he just lost. Whereas on the other side of the map, yep, ByuN will finally be starting up a 4th command center of his own. The problem is, with an 8-Rex, you usually don't have enough economy to support Ghosts or Liberators. And that's what you preferably need. I mean, preferably you need both of them against Ultralisks. Ultras aren't yet upgraded, though. This chitinous plating research on the right side of the production tab is absolutely critical, but maybe the Queen's Transfuses can help out a little bit as well. Solar is just sort of faking it right now. He's trying to shove his way through here. Siege tanks are blinding clouded too. In the meantime, there was a little bit of a Zergling run by on the other side of the map. Marine drop over here trying its very best to kill some workers, but so far, the losses have been minimized. Now chitinous plating is done, and that is going to be a massive power spike right here for the Zerg. And I think that will be the end of the 8-Rex. I don't believe that ByuN can really continue pushing here. So the losses have been quite significant. Both players losing 12 workers each. But I can't help but think that this is beneficial now for Solar. This is big. This is huge. He gets the cancel on the 4th base. The already extremely late 4th base. Maybe these Marines, though, can, well, even the odds a little bit. Some of the drones will go down. Hatchery itself will fall as well. But there was already that remade base over on the left side. And I do believe that there's just barely enough mineral fields remaining still for Solar to keep this party going. He decides to remake the hatch. Command center coming up too, but Solar's army here is significantly better. He's going Vipers now together with Infestors. So it's basically the... Oh, nice little hit squad again. Now this is nice though for ByuN, right? Getting the cancel on these bases over and over and over again is huge. I'm just wondering if it's enough. He knows it. He knows that he needs to get a little bit more. Maybe killing this hatch? I mean, it's dealing a lot of damage. He does indeed get it down to the red HP. Not quite enough. Okay, 4th command center finishes though. And ByuN has done an excellent job backstabbing the opponent here. My main concern is when the Zerg army goes to the other side. Solar is still very much so in defense mode. But we are like one fungal growth away from this entire Zerg army taking a vacation on the Terran side of the map. Oh, okay. Woo! He gets the pickup just barely in time. Fungal Growth inhibits any sort of movement abilities. That includes lifting up inside of the Medivac. And I believe that this Medivac will, well, maybe escape, actually. 4 HP. Somehow, some way stays alive. It's because Terran is pushing as well on the right. Lurker then. Ah, interesting. I think Solar could really have tried his hand at going for the push. He knows that there's not going to be Liberators and Ghosts. Or one of the two. So I feel like Ultras still have at least a potential in this game. But he decides to now go into the good old Lurker again that won him the previous match. ByuN needs to kite, though. Fungal Growth is still dangerous. Burrow would be really nice to maybe try and set up a bit of a surround. Nice micro here, though, by ByuN. Really trying to squeeze as much juice out of this Terran army as possible. Stutter-stepping multiple armies at the same time is always difficult. In typical ByuN fashion, by the way, he did go for the +3 armor for the infantry units before the +3 attack, which is considered a misplay, but he does it time and time again. Okay, nice snipe right there on one of the Vipers. Widowmine's getting a whole lot of damage in too. The splits here are excellent. And this is, I think, why Solar really wants to have Lurkers out, because you cannot play this, like, tug of war with Lurkers in the same way that you can do it against Ultras. My god. It's just Marine Marauder Medivac pretty much only. You finally have a Fungal Growth, but I mean, all of the Ultras are already gone. Is there enough for the Zerg to actually defend against this? It's just such a large Terran army, but a very low-tech Terran army, too. There are Hydras now, and Hydras do outrange the Widowmines. Another Ultralisk does bite the dust. And eventually, the Lurker then is going to be able to complete his upgrades. Solar did keep all of his bases alive, although he did pay a very hefty price tag for it. ByuN, in the meantime, secured the base all the way up north. New hatchery coming up on the left. My main concern here is that ByuN believes that this is going to be mass Ultra. And the Ultras he's dealing with just fine. I just don't believe you can deal with Lurkers in the same way. And soon he's going to be surprised by them. It's very uncommon for players to go from Ultras into Lurkers. Now he sees them. He's going to need to get some sort of answer. He needs to do something about these units. I don't think you can really stick around on Marine Marauder Medivac Mine. Maybe we need to add in another unit with the letter M. Like Miberators or Mosts. I think those would be fantastic. What about this fight right over here, though? Ultras are now finally getting a pretty good engagement in. The Widowmines are blowing up a lot of the units in the back, but this is not a bad start to an engagement here for Solar at all. And just like that, in the blink of an eye, ByuN's army gets wiped off the map. He gets surrounded by all of the Zerg units available, and I guess that shows you how flimsy that Terran army still is. Despite the fact that ByuN managed to deal with that early game army, or the early late game army, the Ultralisks, very well, ultimately Solar managed to get the fight that he was looking for, and he immediately, well, wiped ByuN's chances off of the map.